It's March 15th, 44 BC, Rome, and the most powerful man in the Republic, Julius Caesar, is about to walk into a trap. He doesn't know it yet, but almost everyone else in the room does. The Senate isn't meeting in its usual home today. That building, the Senate House, is under construction, being rebuilt in Caesar's name. So instead, they gather at the Curia of Pompey, a large hall tucked inside a quiet complex, less crowded than the Forum, less exposed, no side streets, limited exits. If you were designing the perfect place for an ambush, this would be it. Outside, a group of gladiators loiter casually, or at least, they try to look casual. They belong to a senator named Decimus Brutus, a loyal ally of Caesar, or so it seems. Inside, the atmosphere is tense, not loud, not chaotic, just off. Senators pace, whisper, avoid eye contact, because hidden beneath their togas are daggers. Then Caesar arrives. He enters with authority, as always, confident, unhurried, a man completely in control of his world. He takes his seat on a golden ceremonial chair, placed there specifically for him, because at this point, subtlety is no longer part of the Roman political system. At his side, normally, would be Mark Antony, general, ally, loyalist, a very large problem for anyone planning an assassination. But today, he's not here. He's outside, being accidentally delayed in conversation by another senator, pulled away at exactly the wrong time, or the perfect time. Caesar is now alone, and across the room, a man stands up and begins to walk toward him. How did it get to this? Because Caesar didn't just rise to power, he crushed his way there. Over nearly 40 years, he built a career that was almost absurdly successful. He became consul, the highest office in Rome. Then he went to Gaul and conquered it. All of it. Modern France, Belgium, parts of Germany. Millions subjugated, entire tribes erased. And his army? They didn't just respect him, they loved him, which, in Rome, is slightly more dangerous than being feared. Because Roman generals weren't supposed to be too popular, especially not with armies that answered to them personally. Then came the breaking point. 49 BC. The Senate, backed by his rival Pompey the Great, orders Caesar to give up command and return to Rome as a civilian. Sounds reasonable. Except for one detail. If he does that, he loses his legal immunity, and his enemies can immediately prosecute him. Translation: come back defenseless, and will destroy you. So Caesar makes a decision, a very illegal decision, a very famous decision. He marches his army to a small river in northern Italy, the Rubicon. Crossing it with troops is forbidden. It's basically declaring war on Rome itself. And he crosses it anyway, allegedly saying the die is cast, which is Roman for this is going to get messy. What follows is a civil war. 4 years. Massive destruction. And in the end, Caesar wins. Pompey is defeated. The Republic is broken. Now Caesar is the most powerful man in Rome, by far. No equals, no rivals. So what does he do? He centralizes power, takes control of the government, stacks the Senate with his supporters, and then the final move. In February of 44 BC, he is declared dictator for life. Now, in most places, that title would end the discussion. But this is Rome, a society built on one core belief: no kings, ever. Their last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, was overthrown centuries earlier, and since then, the Republic existed specifically to prevent this exact scenario. So when Caesar starts acting king-like, people notice. He wears extravagant robes, accepts divine honors, has statues of himself placed among the gods, even has a month renamed after him, July. At one point, a crown is literally offered to him in public, twice. He refuses it, twice, but not very convincingly. It's like someone saying, I don't want absolute power, while standing on a pile of it. To many senators, this isn't politics anymore. It's the end of the Republic. So they decide Caesar has to die. The conspiracy, around 60 men, join the plot. And what's interesting is that they don't all agree on why. Some are former enemies. Some are jealous allies. Some genuinely believe they're saving Rome. And some probably just don't like him. Leading figures include Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus. Brutus, especially, is important because Caesar trusts him deeply. There are even rumors, unconfirmed, but persistent, that Brutus might be Caesar's illegitimate son, which makes what's about to happen even worse. They plan for months, carefully, methodically. They consider killing him in public, but that risks interference. They consider a staged accident too unreliable. They even think about attacking him at a gladiator event, blending assassins into the crowd. But in the end, the Senate meeting is perfect. Controlled, predictable, contained. They smuggle daggers inside, hide them under their togas, position gladiators outside to block escape routes, and arrange for Mark Antony to be kept away. Everything is ready. The IDs of March. There's just one problem. Caesar almost doesn't show up. In the days leading up to March 15th, things get strange. A seer warns him, beware the Ides of March. His wife, Calpurnia, has nightmares, visions of his death. He experiences bad omens during religious rituals, animals sacrificed, missing organs, which is apparently a very bad sign. Even Caesar starts to hesitate. On the morning of the 15th, he decides not to go, and that should have been the end of it. But then Decimus Brutus, his trusted ally, steps in. He tells Caesar that staying home would make him look weak, superstitious, ridiculous. And Caesar, a man who has built his entire life on reputation, changes his mind. On his way to the Senate, a man approaches him, hands him a note, says, "Read this immediately. It concerns you." The note reportedly contains details of the assassination plot, names, plans, everything. Caesar takes it, adds it to a stack of papers, and never reads it. He walks into the Curia, straight into the trap, the assassination back inside. The senators move into position. One of them approaches Caesar, Tilius Cimber. He presents a petition, asking for his brother to be pardoned from exile. Caesar refuses. Others step forward, supporting the request, pressing closer, raising their voices. The circle tightens. Then Cimber grabs Caesar's toga and pulls it down. That's the signal. The first strike comes from behind, a shallow cut, more shock than damage. Caesar turns, confused, angry, and then the rest descend. Blades flash, togas swirl, voices shout. Caesar tries to fight back, even manages to stab one attacker with a stylus, a pen, but he's outnumbered, overwhelmed. Among the attackers, Marcus Junius Brutus, and according to later accounts, this is the moment Caesar stops resisting. Not when he's wounded, not when he's surrounded, but when he sees him. Et tu, Brute? Maybe he said it, maybe he didn't, but the meaning is clear either way. Betrayal. 23 stab wounds later, Caesar collapses, dead, at the base of a statue of Pompey the Great, his former enemy, watching over the scene. Even in death, Rome has a sense of irony. What happens next? The conspirators step back, expecting applause, celebration, gratitude. They believe they've saved the Republic. They're wrong. Instead of restoring order, they create chaos. The public is horrified. Caesar's allies are furious. Power vacuums don't stay empty for long. Soon, 3 men rise to claim control: Mark Antony Augustus and Marcus Lepidus. They form an alliance, hunt down the conspirators, and eliminate them brutally. The Republic doesn't come back. It never really had a chance, because Asa didn't kill the Republic. He just proved it was already dying. And his successor, Augustus, learns from his mistakes. He doesn't call himself king. He doesn't flaunt power. He keeps the illusion of the Republic alive. But make no mistake, Rome is no longer a republic. It's an empire. Final line. Caesar wanted to be loved, admired, celebrated. But in Rome, power isn't about being loved. It's about being untouchable. And on the Ides of March, for just a moment, he wasn't.